recording here. Okay, so this is the evening. We're going to call this the evening session for Physics 210. So this is the 4 to 7 time period. So we aren't actually going to be doing an experiment today or even really an activity. What we are going to do is we're going to go over the lab policies and procedures, and I will answer your questions about how the labs work. So let me share my screen so that we can jump into that. Okay, share the screen. Okay. So what we're going to do is take a look at this week's or this module's activity. I think in this class, every module is 1 week long, so no need to worry about any of that. I think it gets a little bit questionable towards the end, like when we have Thanksgiving in the mix, but don't worry about it. So let's see. So what we're going to do is the purpose of today's activity is to go through the lab policies and procedures, and you get there by clicking on this link here. And so let's see what it says. So this is how we're going to complete the lab activities. So in every module, there's going to be at least one graded activity. Most of them are going to use the lab kit. Okay, so what is the lab kit? So the lab kit is basically a box with different little bits of hardware that you're going to be using to do experiments this semester. So each student is to receive one of these. They are going to be shipped out to you. They were supposed to be beginning to work on shipping them out today, but unfortunately, because there is fire and there is poor air quality and so on and so forth, this process has been delayed a little bit. Okay, but don't worry, you should get your lab kits in plenty of time for us to start using them, because we will not begin using the lab kits until I think module 3 or 4 or something. Okay, so don't worry about will I get it in time. That should not be a concern on your mind right now. How do you get one? You order it from the Skyline College bookstore. So what you do is you go to the link here. I think this works. Here, let's see if it works. Okay, I don't know. Something happened. Anyway, you guys try it out. Tell me if it works. And what you do is you click on books and you enter in the CRN number for the course, and then you click on view my results, and then it'll allow you the option of selecting the lab kit that you want. There's only one available, so you can't get it wrong, and then you'll pay the $7 fee to have it shipped to you. Okay, so that's the lab kits, and I will post more information about how you get the lab kits very soon. Your lab coordinator has provided me with the information, and he would like me to go ahead and post it as an announcement in Canvas. So I will be doing that. Now, the lab activities themselves is basically every time it's going to be a group activity. Okay, so you will be working with a group that will have about 5 individuals in the group. And so the basic process is that each of you in the group will each have your own setup. You'll each perform the experiment, and then you will nominate a spokesperson for the group, and that person will consolidate everybody's data into one place and will take the lead in terms of leading the analysis and also leading the completion of the worksheet, right? Because every lab is going to have with it a worksheet and a spreadsheet. And so both of these need to be done together. And so the spokesperson will be kind of in charge of making sure that all happens. Now, this doesn't mean, of course, that the spokesperson is the only one doing any of the work, right? But the idea is that the spokesperson is to kind of direct it, okay? So for instance, when you're working through the worksheet, there's going to be calculations to answer and questions to answer and many derivations to do. So the spokesperson isn't doing that all on her own, right? What she does is she reaches out to the other members of the team and says, hey, somebody help me with number 2, right? And what are your thoughts? And everybody, the idea is that you all put your heads together to get it filled out. But what the spokesperson is ultimately responsible for is for making sure that it does get turned in for grading, okay? Only the spokesperson has to turn it in. So I'd like you to rotate this role around, right? Because it is a little bit of extra work. It shouldn't always be the same person every week who's the spokesperson. Okay, so there's a question in the chat. Oh, when will we know the groups? So with the groups, I'm going to be assigning you to your groups, and I am going to basically assign you at random. Of course, I'm going to keep people together who are in the same section, okay? But other than that, it'll be random. Now, if there's a particular person or people that you would like to work with, that's okay. You can just send me a message on email and say, I would like to be set up with these 4 people, right? Just give me their names, and then I will try to set you up with them. If for some reason I can't do it, right, then I won't do it, right? So I'm not making any promises that I can put you with who you want to be with. But you certainly are allowed to weigh in, and I will do my best to accommodate you.
So a question, Professor. So my group, it's gonna be my group for the whole semester?
Oh, so the question is, will you be allowed to change groups later? Of course, you will be allowed to change groups. Now, if you want to switch groups at some point in the future, you can do it. You just have to tell me that that's what you want to do, and I'll make it happen. Now, it's going to be a little bit tricky for me to do it. It'll be a little bit of work, but that, don't worry about it. I can manage. Okay. So you can do it. I mean, because what happens sometimes with this class is that midway through the semester, some people drop out, right? And now suddenly you used to have 4 people that you're working with. Now only you have 1 person, right? Because 3 people dropped out, right? And so that isn't, you shouldn't have to feel forced to try and manage with just 1 partner if 3 of your people in your group dropped out. So you should have the right to switch to other groups if that does happen, right? And I will help you with that. Don't worry about it. Okay, other questions before I continue talking about this stuff here? Okay, so as far as when will we know who's in your group, I probably will I expect to have all the groups assigned and set up by Sunday night, because by then, I actually want to wait until I'm sure of who is actually enrolled in the class and who wants to drop, and who's going to be getting shifted over into a new section, right? I want all of those things to be settled before I start assigning the groups, okay? And so I think that probably won't be until Saturday that I'll be able to do that. So in the meantime, of course, send me an email if there's somebody who you really would like to have in your group, and I'll see if I can support you. Let's see. Grading. So how's the grading going to work? So the lab component of the course is worth 20% of your grade, 20% of your final grade in Physics 210. Okay, so 10% of the 20% has to do with how well did you participate in, turning in these lab activities, right? So the worksheet and the spreadsheet, right? It's 10% is if you turn those all in, you did them all completely, you get 10%. And then the other 10% is for the lab final, right? So the lab component of the course does have its own exam. It has its own final exam. That's going to be a multiple choice Canvas quiz. Okay, I'll tell you more about that in a second. So together that's 20% of your final grade. So, 20%, that's not a small portion of your grade, right? So it really does pay to try to do your best in lab. Now, as far as each of the lab assignments, the way I want to grade them is I'm going to give you either a score of 1 or 4, okay? So it's being graded based on completion. So if the whole thing is complete, right, you answered all the questions, you did the spreadsheet, right, you turned it in, by the deadline, you get 4, okay? If any part is incomplete, you get 1. Now, completeness also has to do with, did you have a 30-minute session with your lab instructor before you turn it in? I'll tell you more about that in a moment. Okay, so, but you're only being graded on completion. So if you answer the questions and if some of the physics is wrong or something like that, I'll put a comment in the, when I go to grade it, I'll put a comment saying, hey, this physics you put here is not correct, right? And I'll tell you how to correct it. But I will not give you a lower score because you got the physics wrong, right? Because the idea is I'm not trying to force you to do right physics. I'm really just trying to make you complete I just want to see you complete it, okay? I'm not checking too carefully if the physics is right. I'm just checking for completion. And if I see something wrong, I will tell you, right? And I'll tell you how to fix it. Let's see. By the end of the course, you have to have participated in and completed at least 9 of the labs. If you have fewer than 9, I may be forced to give you a non-passing grade, okay? I'm really hoping it doesn't come to that. You'll have people supporting you. You'll have the meeting with me. You've got the STEM Center. You'll have all these resources that can help you complete these labs. So there really should be no reason for you to not complete at least 9 of them. Okay, so let's see. We talked about how you'll do it. Every one of them is going to come with a worksheet and a spreadsheet. And so you'll download those and then figure out how to do it. The worksheets are going to basically be PDF. And so what I would recommend that you do is you use a tool called Small PDF. Okay, and when it's time to use it, I'll give instructions on how to use Small PDF. It's a free tool that allows you to make modifications on a PDF document. So you would put the worksheet into Small PDF, answer the questions, paste the pictures and everything else, and then you save it. And now it's complete, and now you can turn it in for grading, right, on Canvas. And then you'll with the spreadsheet, it's self-explanatory, right? You open it. You can open it with Google Docs if you prefer. You can open it with Microsoft Excel. Fill in the data, do the graphs, all that stuff, and then you submit that for grading. Sometimes there'll be a video that tells you how to do the experiment. Sometimes not. Regardless, there will always be clear instructions as to what to do when you click on the assignment itself, right? In Canvas, it opens up, it'll say, oh, here's a video. Okay, you watch the video. If there isn't one, there'll be other instructions. And as I already said, each member in your group has to perform the experiment using their own equipment, right? So everybody has a lab kit, and each one goes through the activity, and then the spokesperson collects everybody's data and you know, takes the additional steps. Okay, number 5 is very important. So I really do want you all to be working on these experiments on your own, right? So that means to say without me helping you, right? Because this is a virtualized class. If this were a face-to-face class, you'd have me in the same room with you while you're doing the experiment, and I'd be helping you, right? You know, I'd be, oh yeah, here, do this. Okay, now you need to, right? But you're not gonna have me there, okay? The only thing you're going to have is, you know, you'll be working on your own with the equipment. You've got your spokesperson to collect all the data. But before you turn in the lab, you have to touch base with me at least once for 30 minutes, okay? So what you should do is you should try to set up a 30-minute, find a 30-minute time that's convenient for you and your teammates to meet with me via Zoom and to show me what you have so far. And then I will tell you, oh, so something's wrong, you have to fix this or fix that. Or let's say you're having trouble, you know, you don't know how to make the pulley work properly. You ask me about it on the 30-minute appointment, and then I'll help you figure it out, okay? If you turn in your lab activity without having had this 30-minute session with me, then I consider it incomplete, right? And you get a score of 1, okay? So you have to have had this session with me before you'll be, you can get full credit for your submission, okay? Now for most people, this 30-minute session, they'd be fine if having it take place during the time that we normally have labs scheduled, right? So we have labs scheduled from 4 to 7, okay? So if there's some time within 4 to 7 that 30 minutes works for you and your teammates, you know, by all means, that's the time we do it, right? But sometimes, you know, let's say there's a fire, let's say, you know, let's say we go to war with China, you know, let's say, you know, the climate, you know, the atmosphere fills with carbon, right? If something, you know, happens where now you can't make it at this time, just, you know, send me an email, say, hey, you know, we simply cannot coordinate so that we can all meet during this 4 to 7 time period for 30 minutes. So then we'll pick another time. It can be during my office hours or some other time. But the point is you have to have had this 30-minute session at least once before you would be allowed to turn in your lab for full credit, okay? Are there any questions about this point?
If one of my group missed the meeting with you, it gonna affect my grade as well or no?
No. So the only way it would affect your grade is if the spokesperson fails to show up, right?
Oh.
So the spokesperson has to attend. If the person who's the spokesperson doesn't show up to the meeting, right? Then I consider the lab incomplete, okay? So at a minimum, the spokesperson has to come. So sometimes what may happen is only the spokesperson can show up, no one else can come for whatever reason. That's fine, right? Because the spokesperson was there, right? But if the spokesperson is not there, then that's not fine. Does that make sense?
But I can speak if my spoke is not here. I don't want to lose my point since he's not here.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's not my fault.
So if the if there's a problem, let's say you decide early on that, okay, this person is going to be the spokesperson, right? And then they say, oh my gosh, I have no way of meeting with the instructor, you know, during this week before the lab is due. Then designate a different person to be spokesperson, right?
Okay.
Yeah, you can just say, okay, fine, you don't have to be spokesperson this week. This it's going to be somebody else, right? And then that's fine. You can do that. Okay, So we already talked about, this is all about teamwork, right? I really don't want to have a situation where, you know, the, this sort of happened to me over the summer, right? Because I was teaching Physics 250, and we did this same type of model with the spokesperson. And what happened sometimes was that some of the groups, they sort of dumped all the data on the spokesperson and then they disappeared. And then the poor spokesperson had to do everything herself, right? I really don't want that. I really want it to be a team effort, okay? So, and if you start working through the lab and then you find that, somebody's, you're reaching out to your teammates and they're not answering or they're not contributing, please let me know right away, right? And so I can go and yell at them because this is very important. I really want everyone to be contributing, right? And if you're stuck or something, and you need more than 30 minutes, then come to my office hours, right? And we can talk about it for more time. So that's fine as well. The other thing, I should like to say a few words about how you actually collaborate. So how you actually collaborate is up to you. Some teams decided, you know what, we're just going to send each other emails and that's how we're going to interact, right? And that's fine if you want to do it that way. Other people use FaceTime, right? So they pick a time and then they FaceTime with each other. They work together. They discuss, they discuss what they're working on. Other people prefer to use Discord, right? You're welcome to set up your own Discord server.
Can we use a Zoom meeting?
Oh yeah, you can also use Zoom. You can either set up your own Zoom account and have your team members also use Zoom, and you get together using Zoom in order to interact. That's totally fine. Or if you're not comfortable doing that, you don't want to do that, if instead you would rather use like use the normal lab time, which is for us, it's from 4 to 7, right? If you'd rather use that time to be working on your experiment, just let me know. And what I'll do is I'll create a breakout room for you. And then you can use the breakout room, to just work amongst yourselves and be interacting on Zoom, okay? So however you do it is entirely up to you. I really want you to sort of take the lead in deciding what works best. So talk to your teammates and, figure something out. And just let me know what you want to do. And if you need my help, I will help you. Okay. All right. So let's say a few things about the lab final. So the lab final is the final exam just for the lab portion of the course. And it will take place in the final week of class. Okay, it'll take place in the final module. And it's just going to be a multiple choice Canvas quiz. And it'll have 22 questions. It'll be 2 questions for each lab activity that we did. Okay, but you can get a perfect score even if you miss two questions, you'll still get a perfect score, because only 20 of the 22 questions actually count. And the reason why I do this is because I said already over here, I think that, yeah, see here, I said your lowest scoring lab will be dropped, okay? So if you miss one lab, that's okay, you can still get a perfect score for lab, right? So if you don't show up for one of them, that's okay. It's no big deal. And then the questions that deal with that particular lab, you can just skip them. You'll still get a perfect score. Okay. So I think that's basically it. Oh, no, wait. Sorry, another thing. Right. So the lab final, it is open lab manual. So what does that mean? That means that you need to make sure before you go into the lab final, you need to make sure that you have all of your own copies of all of the worksheets, all of the spreadsheets, and I mean, if there were other materials that you had to compile, if there was like a simulation that you had to download, I don't think there will be. But anyway, everything that you had to generate for each lab, you have to have your own copy of that, because you'll need to, you may want to refer back to it while you're doing the exam, okay? And so what I really would not like to have happen is I don't want to have you, trying to chase your teammates on the day you have the exam. I don't want you to be chasing them trying to get the information, right? Because they forgot to give you a copy when they were spokesperson, right? I'd like you to have everything, all the copies in advance before you start, okay? Because the final exam for lab is individually done, right? It's no longer teamwork for the lab final. I just want you to do it by yourself and use the information that you have compiled over the course of the semester for lab, okay? So how do you succeed in lab? The big thing is teamwork, right? So this is going to be a real test of how good you are at collaborating with others. And this is more challenging now because we're not face-to-face, right? You're going to have to be creative, right? You're going to have to figure out how to use Discord if that's what you want to use. You're going to have to learn how to use Zoom if that's what you need to use, right? So you're really going to have to adapt to this situation. Make sure that you keep records of everything, right? So if a particular lab activity is happening and you're not the spokesperson, right? Make sure that the spokesperson has fulfilled their responsibility of giving you the final copy of what was submitted, okay? And please retain your own copy. Please do not rely on Canvas to keep the copy for you, right? The reason is because if you just leave everything on Canvas where it was submitted, and then later you switch to a different group, right? Then the data that you had submitted may get lost, right? If you do that. So so please make sure that you always have your own copies of everything, right? Do not rely on Canvas, right? Because I may go and start changing things around as well, right? So do not rely on Canvas to be your storage place for your information. Use the scientific calculator just like you do for the other parts of this class. Please try to understand all aspects of the lab activity. Don't just let someone else in your team be responsible for understanding everything. Try to understand it yourself as well. And if you're stuck or confused, have questions, just ask me. You can ask me, you can ask the peer instructional leader, Benjamin, right? He has taken this course before. He hasn't used the lab kit before, but I'll make sure that he has one so that he can help you figure it out. And then also in the STEM Center, there are knowledgeable people that have used this lab kit before, and they can also answer your questions if I'm not available or if Benjamin's not available. Make sure that it's not always the same person who is the spokesperson, right? Make sure that this responsibility is shared, okay? You know, because it is a little bit of extra work. So I want to make sure that it isn't always falling on the same shoulders. Now, if I see that the same person is submitting as spokesperson twice in a row, I'm going to ask you about it, right? Hey, why didn't you let someone else do it, right? So just make sure that you let everybody participate. And then let's see. Oh yeah, so understand what's behind each activity. Don't just robotically follow the worksheet, okay? So I always make the joke that this is not a cooking class, right? But that's probably unfair because I've never taken a cooking class, right? But I'm trying to get you to understand that it's not just a question of following like a recipe, right? You know, try to understand like why you're taking each step, right? And if you're not sure, you know, talk about it with your teammates, right? You know, use them as a resource. They should be able to use you as a resource. And if you're still confused, then, you know, ask me or ask Benjamin, or even go to the STEM Center. You know, you have ways of getting past a confusion. So definitely use them. And then last of all, of course, please have fun, right? This is not supposed to be a punishment, right? This is supposed to, give you a chance to, do some hands-on stuff. And I hope that you enjoy it. Okay, so I think that's pretty much the end of my remarks for this. Is there any question?
Where can I find the lab worksheet?
Oh, so for today's activity, there is no worksheet, but in general, when there is an actual legitimate lab activity, the worksheet will appear here in the,
Okay.
on the assignment.
So I don't need to buy from store.
No. Yeah, there's zero extra cost to doing lab.
Okay.
I mean, apart from the shipping fee that you pay for the lab kit.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Is the topic for lab similar or related to our lecture topic or different?
Yeah, so what we're trying to do is we're trying to match up the lab activities with the lecture, right? So that we're trying to avoid having you perform an activity that you haven't at least seen, addressed in the lecture portion, right? But now the thing is it's not going to always be 100% possible to do that because well, first of all, we don't really have lectures per se, right? We just have the optional Zoom meetings that are really question and answer sessions with me, and then you have the videos that I post, but they're much shortened videos, and they're really these videos really are just about just one topic at a time, right? Because I'm trying to avoid having videos that go on for an hour. Because yeah, people can't really watch. I mean, I know I can't really watch an hour of video and still understand, what's going on at the end, right? So I'm trying to break it into small pieces. So yeah, but we're going to try to do the best that we can so that at least the module that you're in, the theme of it is related to the lab experiment that you do for that module. And yes, go ahead.
Sorry. For the people that are on the wait list, will we be getting ad codes today, or will we still have to wait?
Oh, yeah. So the thing is, what we're really trying to do is we're trying to take all the wait list folks and we're trying to basically group them together and add another section to the class. Okay. But the problem is that we're still waiting on approval from the dean, Dean Grandy, for us to do that. So once she gets back to us, then we'll start giving out ad codes, and then you should be able to get in. But don't worry that this will definitely happen well before the time expires for you to add the course. So don't be concerned about not being able to get in if you're trying to get in.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Other questions?
For each lab, when is the due time?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a good question. So what I'm going to do for this class is that each Sunday night, I will post the next module, okay? And so right now, if you look at the modules, you see that there's only module 1 and then there's nothing that comes after, right? That's because I haven't yet posted module 2. So then, so I'm going to post a new module every Sunday night, and then that's when you will see the the lab assignment and the homework. Everything will all appear on Sunday night, and then it won't be due to be turned in until the following Sunday night. You see what I mean? So you'll always have a week to work on everything.
If something happens to come up with our spokesperson, say like midweek or something, do we get penalized, say if like we switch it as long as they
Oh.
weren't the spokesperson from the previous week?
No, you can switch spokespeople at any time, right? That is your right. You can designate a person at the beginning, and then if for whatever reason they can't complete their assignment as spokesperson, they are welcome to hand it over to someone else. Just let me know that you're doing that.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. Okay, so what I'm going to do is